Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Uh, you say betting tax, e-levy, COVID-19, tax no. You say you need if you want. Na maybe say this week and a wire transaction experience say ebia yant wana ya sembisa. Say to wa de me hu why. Na me ne mama adamfo na me ne edi ho komo. This is your boy GHY School, and you are watching the Y Seat Show, proudly brought to you by Y School Entertainment. Today, we'll be talking about entrepreneurial skill, and King James, Executive Director of Brandstar Ghana Limited, is our special guest for today's Y Show. King James,
Thank you.
Akwaba,
Y school. Y school.
GHY School, GHY School.
GHY school.
Yeah,
Ghana.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for having me here.
All right.
Yeah, so as you rightly mentioned, my name is King James, and I happen to be the executive director of Brandstar Ghana Limited.
Okay.
All right. So, um, yes, you rightly mentioned about was it
The betting
the
tax
betting
and
tax,
e-levy and
levy, and the
COVID-19.
rest? Whether people have started experiencing
Yeah,
the impact.
yeah.
Yes, it's true that they have been cancelled, but then they have to go through, parliamentary approvals and all that
Okay.
before they can actually take effect. So we don't expect that once they have been announced by the finance minister that they have been cancelled or something, they will rightly take effect. But it will take a process before we can begin to feel the impact of it. Yes, that is just by the way. And
Okay,
let me
okay.
quickly move on to.
Okay, so that means we are still experiencing the uh, tearing, right?
Exactly, they will be tearing. The deduction will still continue
Okay,
until
okay.
such a time that Parliament will approve the whole thing, because they have to take an ally to Parliament, and
Okay.
then they have to make some amendments to the law, the old law. Then the new law takes effect, and then that is when we can begin to have an impact of cancellation of those taxes.
Okay.
If not, for now we have to be paying
Okay.
those money.
A-Town. Okay. So King James, uh this this your name. Is it the king? Is it your first name and the James as your surname, or the king is a title? How did you get that name?
So I came by the name King James as, once you are born a king, you are always a king. And so I got a title King James because of what I've done in Yamisha here.
Wow.
The good deeds, the good things that I've done here. So that is how come I was able to, I mean, uh, get a title King James. So now this is my official name as King James.
King James.
Yes,
Oh wow.
exactly.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, Motormate Ghana for say open spare part ama wo car from one. Number way so 05919728828 05919728828. And that just been cleaning service. Almost say available say over from time biara wohia ɔmo service a ɔmo wɔ hɔnom sɛ wopɛ sɛ ɔmo clean wɔ office anaasɛ wo dan foforɔ a woasi wopɛ sɛ ɔmo bɛ clean ma wo a they are available sɛ ɔmo bɛba abɛyɛ adwuma no ama kama sɛnea ɛsi te. So you are watching the Y Seat Show, and I've already introduced our special guest to you. He is the executive director of Brandstar Ghana Limited.
Exactly so.
All right. So, King James, can you tell us a little about your background and how you became involved in the position as executive director of Brandstar Ghana Limited?
Okay. So I became the executive director when I first thought of the idea of bridging a gap that exists within the lubricant industry. So when I say lubricant industry, what I mean is I'm talking about engine oils
Okay.
that are used by cars.
Okay.
I mean heavy duty cars, automobile, and the likes. So upon identifying that as a gap within our industry in Ghana, we decided that okay, we needed to create something that we can actually penetrate the market by way of supplying to the mines, the construction industries, the quarry, and the likes.
Okay.
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 So we started creating a company, so to speak, so that we can actually do that through that company because there's no way you can supply to most of these corporate institutions without being having a corporate, company. All right.
Yeah.
So when we created a company, I did that, with a colleague of mine, and then we brought this into being, and then we started the process of doing the supplies of the lubricants to those companies that who happens to be our target group. And as it were, because I happen to be the initiator of the whole thing, I have to bear the title, the executive director
Oh,
of the company,
wow.
Brandstar Ghana.
Wow. Wow.
So Brandstar Ghana is actually into the supply of lubricants to corporate institutions, such as
Oh,
the mines, the construction, um, the quarry, and then what have you.
okay.
And we supply in large quantities.
Wow.
Yes, we do not do retail. We
Oh,
do
okay.
supply.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
That's nice. Okay, I want to know something about you. We want to know. People fear to come closer to you. So we would like to know a little about you so that at least we can get some rapport to get closer to you. All right. So I want to know what can keep you smiling the whole day or the whole week?
Okay. So as I rightly mentioned to you that I happen to be the executive director of Brandstar Ghana. Yes, unless of course maybe you want me to give you background of myself from my education now level and all that. Is that what
Yeah,
your question
yeah,
seeks to?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I started my schooling, my basic school from Presby in Kou in Kwetia, and then through to St. Peter's Senior High School, and then to the University of Cape Coast, and currently enrolled as a chartered accountant. And then I took for this job as an entrepreneur, so to speak.
Okay,
Okay, just as I rightly mentioned to you that just to bridge the gap because there's this shortfall within the industry where I need to supply the lubricant to those industries that are in need of the engine oil to service their cars and their equipment, especially the mines.
okay.
Okay, yes. And you asked whether what gives me motivation
Right. Yeah,
or
what
what makes
keeps
me
you,
smile.
yeah, the whole
What
day? We just
the
want
only
to,
thing that makes me smile is money.
wow.
It is money today, money tomorrow, and
Eh,
money into the future.
really?
And I does that. I tie that with a goal.
Okay.
Okay, I tie it with a goal that from one point to the other, I need to achieve a certain goal. And by doing
Mm.
that, you make the money, and that makes you happy. It's money, 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 money. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, as a king as I am, it's only money that
Okay.
gives me that motivation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what is your hobby?
My hobby is making money.
So you don't have anything like, yeah, you don't have any game hobby or whatever, like,
There's nothing.
because if everything's about money, how will those who want to come closer, we the young ones who want to come closer to you, how will we manage to?
When it comes to hobby, we have
I,
individual. We have our own individual ways in terms of hobbies.
yeah, that
Your
was
hobby could be watching football all the time or when you are free and all that. I prefer making money. It's a good hobby, right? Yes.
I think
So when you get closer to me, I just tell you that okay, beside watching ball and doing other stuff that make you happy, be thinking of making money as one of your hobbies, and you'll be much happier.
mm,
It's only when you make the money that you become happy. Of what use will it be that you say that you spend your time, I mean, pursuing things when in actual fact you don't have money? Make money, and that is the best hobby for every man, especially if you happen to be a man.
okay, okay.
Pursue money as your hobby,
So
and you are good to go.
if I may know, are you married?
I'm not yet. I'm not married for now,
Really?
but
Okay.
soon
Eh,
I'll marry.
okay. So if you are getting closer, we would like to know so that I would like to recommend a trusted uh, event management to you. Okay. So that
So let's say I'm giving myself a year from now.
wow.
So the preparation has started.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Let's say amen. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we'll go for a short break and we'll be right back.
We dey grind, we dey grind, we dey grind, yo. I must see my face, I know they lie, yo. No they lie, yo.
Welcome back to the Y Seat Show, what is proudly brought to you by Y School Entertainment. Remember that Motomate Ghana, your car spare parts, either retail or wholesale, and they are able to spec your car for you. So remember to reach them or call them on this number 0591 972828 0591 972828. And just Pink Cleaning Service also are there for you to clean your homes. Kindly call them on 0249 391 701 or WhatsApp them on 0599 232 565. So, King James, um, I would like to ask you, what do you think can inspire someone to be an entrepreneur?
Okay, thank you. So talking about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is nothing but just the fact that you identifying a business opportunity. Okay. When you identify a business opportunity, okay, you manage and then you try to create wealth by taking risk. So entrepreneurship talks about identifying an opportunity, taking the risk, the financial risk, the needed financial risk, and then providing solutions. So for example, if I give you an example, if you take Brandstar for instance, Brandstar came in as an idea. And the idea was that we saw an opportunity within the lubricant industry. So what we were like, okay, if we have identified a gap within that industry, what can we do to provide solutions? So we gave in our all by taking the risk because before you can even get the product to supply to your target customers, it's a risk because it involves financial risk there. You need to put in some money in there. Okay.
Okay.
So when you do that and then you create the business, then you create the business through innovative means. You create the business through innovative means and then you sell it out or you use that medium to create value for the customers. And by doing so, you are into entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is actually talking about you identifying an opportunity, taking risk, and then being innovative enough, and then creating value for people. And that is what entrepreneurship is all about. And the person who does that is an entrepreneur. So if you
Okay.
take, for instance, myself, I can say that I am an entrepreneur in the sense that I have gone through that process or that stages
Okay.
by identifying an opportunity. It's okay.
Yeah.
Taking the needed risk, which is a financial risk, and being innovative, and then um, providing, value for customers, and that is entrepreneurship.
Okay. So, do you think most of the entrepreneurs failed or fails due to much tax imposed on their business or its lack of skill?
Yes, most of the businesses, especially in our part of the world, is being burdened with tax. But I must say that the tax system affects businesses based on the size of the business that you create. There are some smaller businesses that do not fall within the tax bracket, whereby GRA will tax you. Okay.
Okay.
But when you fall within certain threshold, then you'll be taxed.
Hmm.
So partly, most of the entrepreneurship fail because people do not have the zeal, the determination, and then the patience to wait. Because when it comes to entrepreneurship, you must have that attitude of waiting. You go
Hmm.
through the ups and downs. You should be able to overcome the challenges that comes with you creating value for people. It is not just a one day an event whereby you can just start the thing and then it will begin to blossom. What it means,
Hmm.
therefore, is that you need to take your time, go through the phases of the business. And in
Hmm.
going and doing that, you face all the challenges. And when the challenges come, you should be able to overcome all the challenges.
Hmm.
And most entrepreneurs do not have that skill. They think that once you start the business, you must start making profit. But if you ask those people who have been in business or entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
the likes of Steve Jobs, um, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and the rest, they will tell you that they've gone through all the phases, the
Okay.
challenges phase. It even gets to a point whereby you will be making losses from your initial stages of your business as an entrepreneur. You have to be able to, understand this and endure until such a time that you get to a point where you have to be making, I mean, to be breaking even. You neither make profit nor loss. Okay.
Okay.
And when you pass that stage, then you cannot be thinking of making profit, by which time you would have understood all the phases of the business that you have created for yourself. Okay.
Okay.
So that is what most of the people lack.
Mm.
They do not have that skill.
Okay. Okay. So, how can you briefly educate us on entrepreneurial skill?
Yes. So, like I said, in entrepreneurship, you need to identify an opportunity. And there are various opportunities out there. Okay.
Okay.
Once the opportunity could be a problem, you identifying just a problem and addressing the problem. And in Ghana here, there are a whole lot of problems or challenges that we face, ranging from sanitation, water, electricity, and then when it comes to the provision of goods and services, such as, just as I rightly told you, Brandstar saw an opportunity within the lubricant sector, and then we just entered into that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you identify the opportunity, it's okay. You need to take a risk, and that risk must be calculated risk. We have certain risks that are not calculated, so you need to take a calculated risk. Okay, and then you then capitalize on that to create value for people. And when you create value for the people, In that sense, then that means you are into entrepreneurship.
Okay. 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 So is it true someone needs to be seriously
Educated?
educated to be in the field as an entrepreneur?
Not necessarily the case, because I can give examples of people who do not have that needed education, so to speak, and they are doing well in the field of entrepreneurship. For
Really?
instance, if you take people like uh, Kwame Despite and the brother Kwame, is it Ofori Sapong? Ofori Sapong,
Very so.
yeah, that's the brother
Okay.
who's in charge of those what do you call it, drinks, and yes,
Okay.
he's into that. They didn't have the required skill or the education. They started from selling cassettes, ordinary cassettes. So they identify a gap in there, okay, and they took upon themselves the risk. It's okay,
Yeah.
and then they try to be innovative in that area by supplying the cassettes to people. This doesn't involve, I mean, any extraordinary, I mean, skill or education,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it takes the determination and where you want to see yourself, let's say in the next, say, 5 to 10 years in life. So in that
Mm,
case, you take that needed step, not necessarily you have an education, unless of course you want to create something that doesn't exist. And in entrepreneurship is not about creating something, necessarily creating something that doesn't exist. It could be adding value to something that already exists, okay,
yeah.
or supplying goods or services.
Okay.
In doing that, you are into entrepreneurship.
Mm, mm.
So you don't necessarily need education from Harvard or I mean, Legon or what have you. All you
Okay.
need is the determination
Wow.
to make a change in your society or your local community that you find yourself in.
Mm,
And by doing so, you are into entrepreneurship.
wow. Wow. So how do you see our economic stature in the next 10 years in the world of entrepreneurship? How do you see our economic stature?
Yes, I think that Ghana will begin to experience or record a number of entrepreneurs that are springing up in all sectors or all spheres of work, in the sense that people are beginning to realize that it is by through entrepreneurship that you can make it in life, not necessarily being an employee in someone's company or industry or business, but you trying to identify a problem and create a solution. It's okay.
Yeah.
So going forward, a lot of the young guys and are beginning to realize that it is through entrepreneurship that they can make it in this life. So Ghana will begin to experience a number of people going into that area, because you cannot be rich through someone's payroll.
Mm,
You cannot be rich in this life. If you take the rich men that we have in this country or even in the world at large, they are all entrepreneurs. They are the people that makes the money. So people are beginning to see or identify some challenges or problems within our society or the country to provide solutions to them. And that by doing that, you are into entrepreneurship.
okay.
So Ghana has a better prospect going forward,
Wow.
because the youth are really going into entrepreneurship. People are into agric, nkoko nkiti nkiti. Take for
Mm,
instance,
yeah. Yeah.
myself, I'm even into it. I've
Wow.
started with, I mean, nkoko nkiti nkiti. How I started, you start small and then you begin to grow with it. And that is entrepreneurship. You
Yeah.
don't start big, you start small and you start growing with what you've started. Take for instance, John Dumelo,
Yeah.
the current deputy minister for agric.
Yeah.
He's also into agric.
It's true.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So it is good that we all identify some of these shortfalls, because you realize that Ghana depends so much on importation of chicken and other stuff to feed the country. It's okay.
Yeah.
And in which case, some of us can even do that better. We have what it takes to do it. You don't need extraordinary ordinary skills to go into farming. You only need little guidance. And you can actually learn that from people who are into it
Okay.
at
So
a zero fee. Don't charge you anything.
okay. So if I may ask, who has been your motivator or your mentor? Because
John D.
uh
Muller is my mentor when it comes to agric, in the side of agric.
okay, because before before you were able to discover um Brandstar Ghana Limited, I think you were looking up to someone or somebody was you were learning from somebody, you know,
Yes.
that's yeah.
Okay. When about Brandstar, I think that I developed the interest to go into this lubricant because I started from companies such as Perez Energy to Petro Canada lubricants, and then I realized that you cannot make it in this life whilst you are on someone's payroll. You need to start from somewhere as an entrepreneur. So I began the process of creating something for myself and to provide a lasting solution within the industry because we found that gap that exists within the lubricant industry, and we try to find a way of bridging the gap by way of supplying lubricants to those that happen to be our target customers, the mine, the construction, and then the quarry and what have you.
So for how long have you um
This is my uh, third year
okay, okay.
in this business as an entrepreneur, managing the risk and all that. It hasn't been easy though, but you have to grow in it organically.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, King James is giving us some apport. He's giving us some apport and insight about it. I hope you are learning something because very soon, um, I think very soon I'll be one of the greatest entrepreneur through King James, you know, facts and his points because I'm learning much from him and I hope you are doing so. So at this moment, we'll go for a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Wise Seat Show, which is proudly brought to you by Wise Go Entertainment. Motormate Ghana is a company that will recommend for you to buy your car spare parts from them. Call them on 059 197 2828. 059 197 2828. And just been cleaning service, as I've been telling you people that they are the best to tidying up your environment in case if you need any service like that. Like, they are the best. So kindly call them on 0249 391 701 or WhatsApp them on 0599 232 565. So, King James, what is the little advice you can help out for those who are trying or planning to find themselves in this position as an entrepreneur?
So you rightly mentioned just burn cleaning services as one of your client people can actually reach out
Yeah,
to when
yeah,
it comes to cleaning and all that, which is an entrepreneur, which is part of entrepreneurship. All right.
yeah.
So the little advice I'll give is that the youth should begin to look into that area of identifying the numerous opportunities that is in Ghana here, because you see most, foreigners beginning to identify some of the opportunities here in Ghana and try to invest in those opportunities. Or so what I'm advising is that the youth should identify those opportunities. There are a lot, thousands of them. Identify those ones, capitalize on those opportunities, and make and create something out of it to support yourself, and not rely solely on being an employee for a number of years. You cannot make any impact. We should focus on making impact by identifying certain key areas within the industry that we can add value to, and then create value for the people.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my advice is very simple: identify one major opportunity within the system and find a way of resolving or finding solution to that problem. And by doing so, you are into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
People are even doing Zoom line, those who collect rubbish and
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
and there.
Yeah.
That is a form of entrepreneurship. Once you identify a problem and you provide solution to it, you are into entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Like the bus stop boys.
The bus stop boys,
Yeah.
they have identified a problem
Yeah.
and then they are providing solution, so to speak, to those problems. You are into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not about creating only about creating television machines and then aircraft and the like. The basic stuff that we find with or that are within our means. That forms part of entrepreneurial.
Okay. So is there anything the king would like to share with the public which does or doesn't relate to our discussion or our topic?
Yes, I have a lot of things to discuss. With
Wow.
this.
Then bring it
So
out.
as a matter of fact, as a king as I am, the whole of Nyamicha happens to be under my domain, and uh, I'll be doing Kwesidaye, celebration, and
Hey.
after the Ramadan. So I'm waiting for the chief imam to finish, and then I can take over. That celebration and a whole lot. I'll be doing a lot of sacrifices and yes,
Hey,
animal sacrifices.
are you sure you're not creating you're not creating a problem for yourself?
There's no problem anywhere
Really?
because as a king as I am,
Mm,
I do not fear anything.
okay.
Okay, the king doesn't fear anybody.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
okay. That's true. That's true.
yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, so um, I would like to say that that was on a lighter note. I
Yeah.
would like to say that when it comes to business, when it comes to business, which happens to be, our livelihood, we have to take it seriously, take it to the next level, advance it, provide the needed input that the business needs, so that the business will survive at the end of the day, and then we can make up, generate something meaningful out of it. So as youth, as we are, our lives or our future is dependent on us in on our own decisions that we take today. So we should try to think positively about our lives. We shouldn't begrudge people. We should have the mentality of winning every now and then and creating value for the society that we find ourselves. And I think that by doing this, in the next few years to come, we'll see ourselves as being part of the successful people, such as Kwame Despise, the Ibrahim Mahamas, and the rest, the Dangotes and the rest, who happen to be the bigger entrepreneurs in life. So we have to focus on this, which is very key.
Wow, 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 wow. The king said we have to focus on this. I hope today's show has taught you a lot. And for his final words, it is a plus to me. and I hope it applies to you too. And I really appreciate your time, King James, and educating us a lot on today's show. We really appreciate it. God bless you, and thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
I know you have a lot for us.
I
I
have a
can
lot.
see you have a
I
lot for
am
us.
loaded with a lot of things to share with your
So,
medium or your TV, your platform.
okay.
And it's a pleasure calling on me to be part of this to share. A little bit on entrepreneurship and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So, on any day that you call on me, I'll show up and contribute to building Madagascar.
Wow. All right. Ahwɛfoɔ, yɛde show yi besi ha. Na mmom kae sɛ Motomate Ghana Limited ɛwɔ hɔ ma wo. Wo car spare parts. Sɛ wo car asɛe, wo car akapem anaa biribi wopɛ sɛ wo spɛke wo car anaa biribi saa no a, everything that concern car, I beg you, call Motomate Ghana Limited. Ɛna bio, just being cleaning service. Me a me say from mo. Me a me say from mo. So we so dan foforɔ a anaa dɛ wo office ebi a wokenya different location anaasɛ we relocate from your old office to a different building anaasɛ wo bie another branch anaasɛ wo create another office na wohia cleaning service a me recommend just paint cleaning service ɛma wo na wɔn bɛyɛ wɔ adwuma kama ama wo sɛnea wopɛ sɛ wohu no no.
Okay.
Eti yɛde show yi ɛbɛsi ha sei.
Trust the process.
Makra mo.
That's my true.
My true.
A-Town.